Hi, everyone. I'm Grace Fountain. I'm a Schoolie Mitchell, and I have Roger Garm here today. And Roger, I'll just let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Roger Garm with the Entrepreneur's Source, and looking forward to having a great discussion with you today, Grace.
Well, yeah, likewise, Roger. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can you just tell me a little bit more about your background and what inspired you to become a franchise consultant?
Yeah, sure. I come from a corporate role of different responsibilities through the years, from customer service to sales to operations management, and last role was vice president of operations for a startup company a few years back, and decided to become a franchise coach more so than a consultant, as I do my best to find out exactly what my clients are looking for. Because many times they're not even thinking about business ownership. So I do what I can to coach them in a direction that gives them the opportunity to see different possibilities that they may not have even known about.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then when you're working with your clients, what is the process for understanding their goals, skills, and financial needs for recommending franchise options?
I just do a series of questions. Mainly, I put myself in the role of the responder to, you know, formulate a method of questioning that pretty much asks them how they want to do it and why they want to do it.
Okay. Yeah, and what does the process kind of look like on your end?
Um, you know, we have our process put in place at the Entrepreneur Source, where we take them through a series of questions based on what it is they would like to be doing. We look at the opposite of what we do when we get out of college. When we get out of college, we're usually looking to, uh, find that big role in life and then build our life around that. So getting that big job and then building around it. In this case, we ask them what is the lifestyle that they want, and then we build the job around it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Thanks.
And how do you evaluate and vet franchises before recommending them to a client? What criteria is most important to you?
For me, it's the group of franchises we represent are tried and true. They're already pre-vetted, so I don't have to do any of that. However, I do have to uh, do my best to align my clients with something that I think that they can definitely learn from. So, it's a little bit of a guessing game. And a lot of times I just roll right straight forward, pick something that comes to mind, and then let my client roll with it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like it's that's the exciting journey of it. We're in this journey together. We're gonna hold each other's hands for the first bit of it, but it's really just letting them they know themselves the most, and it is really just diving into that.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. What's an example of a challenging client placement, and how'd you work through it to find a good franchise fit?
I had my most recent placement. The gentleman is retiring from his very lucrative role in corporate America. Coincidentally, happened to be somewhat of a coach, and just put him in a position where he was able to learn as much as possible about things that were completely different than what he had come from,
Mhm.
knowing all too well he probably would still align himself with something that he's familiar with. And he wanted to be able to replace that income and work a lot less than he was working and traveling a lot less than he was traveling, so that he can go into retirement and still have somewhat of an income and continue on with the role. So the challenge originally was I didn't even think that he was going to be interested, because he had already been in a position where he was doing really well. And maybe if he just continued that for a few more years, if allowed, he would do it. But he just realized and learned that he really wanted to take control of his own lifestyle and not have to be confined to the schedule of his current role and responsibility, as an employee. So, he happened to be my very first client that I had spoken to, when I started my
Awesome.
practice, and ended up being my most recent placement, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that is a full circle, which is really nice.
Thanks.
I'm sure it's a little bit difficult when um, for individuals because they've learned so much throughout their years and they have so much experience, and it's kind of hard to not think that you really know everything when it comes to life, and when it's new opportunities and new things that you've never heard of, it's really hard to kind of put yourself back into that education role where it's okay, I'm going to sit back, take the journey, and really learn and dive in instead of um, expect to know everything.
Right.
um, and how do you tailor your approach for clients with varying financial situations or business backgrounds?
I do my best to learn as much as possible before I even introduce them to any possibilities. Uh, I would like to have a little bit more of an understanding of their financial situation so that they can actually, learn comfortably and, take them on the journey. And in some cases, they may need to build up their credit. So we pause, take a little bit of time so that they can do that. I usually stay in touch with them. I want to make sure that they're getting what they need, because that's what my practice is all about. Is the beauty of this, and the number one reason why I love it is because I'm able to actually help people, move on to a different segment of their life. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've even heard sometimes like maybe a younger individual who doesn't really have too much credit really built up for them, or they just don't really have the finances in place. And even I've heard other individuals suggest maybe franchises that are more so in their financial um, wave, and that way they can build up that asset. And when they do want that luxurious franchise, then they can step into that. But it's kind of the stepping stone of, okay, start here. I know it's not pretty. I know it's not, it looks more gritty, but it's going to be your starting point of your freedom of being in control of your day to day.
Right. That is correct. It is part of the responsibility. And, I have clients of all ages, right? So, especially the people in their 30s and early 40s, I want to make sure that they're well aware of. And most of the time, they are in pretty good alignment with what their choices are, what their desires are, what the income level as far as investment they want to put in. Usually, I do my best to prep them in our conversations by asking them, once again, how do you want to do this?
Exactly. Yeah, it's always best, with them being open with their financial state. That way, you're not going to show them franchises that are way above, because you don't want them to get excited about something that um, they eventually wouldn't be able to get into.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. And then, Roger, can you tell me a story of a particular client that chose the right business for them and found success? How proud does it make you when you're able to help someone fulfill the dream?
I'll go back to the most recent because it was definitely surprising to me. I received a phone call, and he started the conversation with, "I've got good news, I got bad news." And I was like thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm prepared for whatever, because maybe he's going back out, maybe he's going to stay where he's at, and that's completely fine too, because that's what I promised them is, get to a point where you can just make a choice instead of a decision. Make a choice, be well informed. And decision's a very scary word for a lot of people, because then they think that they're going to be pressured into something. I don't want them to do that. In this case, when he said that to me, I'm thinking, okay, well, his comment follow up was, uh, the good news is I've decided to go with this particular business. The bad news is you and I aren't going to be spending as much time together on our conferences, which I thought that was really special. And
Yeah.
of course, I promised to stay in touch and check in to see how things are going, because I build pretty solid relationships with many of these people, and they look to me for other advice and things of that nature. And I go back to my questioning method. Okay, well, then tell me what your situation is, and then let's look at alternatives, and you tell me what you think. And it usually helps just to be a sounding board.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's great too because honestly, keeping those relationships afloat and always being there for kind of like advice and someone to lean on for, especially the franchising world, it is a little bit confusing to a lot of people. So just having someone who has either an ear to listen to or just really be there throughout the process and even after the journey is done. The journey's never ending, but it's always good to that you keep that relationship afloat with your clients.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think it's important.
Yeah. Well, Roger, that concludes our podcast.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I really appreciate you joining this with me today, and um, I appreciate you sharing more about the franchise insights with our audience and letting them learn a little bit more about the journey that they would see and the journey that you have as well on your end of the spectrum, the end of the stick, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you very much for your time. I do whatever I can, and that's what it's all about. It's helping people, and I look forward to every single client. Every client is a gift.
It
Opening up
is.
their mind and learning about what they want is definitely a true, enjoyable blessing, and it is full of excitement. So it's definitely a wonderful thing, and I look forward to many, many more. So
I completely agree. It's like you're asking the same questions, but it's always a different result.
yeah,
It's not the same call every time. It's always different. And just learning more about people is so exciting, where they came from, their background, and what got them to this point in time.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Grace.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thanks.
You too. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Hmm, there we go. Perfect.
Good deal.